Story. Lena's father told me his daughter said Bree had been talking about them behind their backs, and that what happened was a reaction. He said maybe Bree shouldn't have run her mouth. I looked at him and said my daughter was on the ground being kicked and you're blaming her for it. He shrugged. Not a single one of those parents cared. So I stopped talking to them and started planning. The first thing I did was file a police report. I walked into the station on a Friday morning with the video saved on my phone, photographs of Bree's injuries that I had taken the night I found her on the bathroom floor, and a typed timeline of everything that happened, including the dates I spoke to each parent and what they said. The officer who took the report was a woman named Sergeant Campos. She watched the video twice. She paused it at the moment Lena kicked Bree on the ground and looked up at me and said, "This is assault, not a fight, not a disagreement. Assault." I said I know. She said because the girls were minors, the process would involve juvenile court, and that it wouldn't be fast, and that I needed to be prepared for that. I said I didn't care how long it took. I had waited long enough for someone to say the word I had been thinking since I first saw that video. She filed the report and gave me a case number and told me a detective would follow up within the week. She also told me something I hadn't considered. She said the fact that one of the girls recorded the attack and distributed the video could carry additional charges. She said in our state distributing a video of a minor being assaulted is a separate offense. I filed that away. The second thing I did was call a lawyer, not a family lawyer, an education lawyer, a woman named Denise Traeger who specialized in school liability cases. I sat in her office the following Monday and showed her the video and told her about my meeting with the principal and his response. She watched the video once, set her pen down, and said the school has a legal obligation to provide a safe environment for your daughter. A recorded assault that occurred on school property during school hours is a failure of that obligation. She said if the school had cameras in the hallways and none in the bathrooms and no staff monitoring between classes, that was a supervision failure. She said the principal's response of "we need to investigate" when I had already provided the video was a delay tactic designed to buy time for the school to manage the situation internally rather than take action. She told me she'd send a letter to the school district that week. I told her to send it. The third thing I did was go back to the school, not to the principal, to the school board. I found out when the next public meeting was. It was scheduled for the following Thursday at 6 in the evening. I showed up with Bree's medical documentation from the urgent care visit I took her to 2 days after the incident. A bruised rib on her left side from the kick, soft tissue swelling under her eye, a split on her lower lip that needed adhesive closure. The doctor had written in the notes that the injuries were consistent with being struck by another person, and not consistent with a fall during physical activity. Bree's gym class lie had been her attempt to protect herself, and those girls knew it. They had counted on her silence. While all of this was happening, the school finally responded. 8 days after my first visit to the principal's office, I got a call saying the 4 students had been given a 3-day in-school suspension. 3 days. My daughter was kicked on the ground in a bathroom by 4 people who filmed it and laughed, and the punishment was 3 days of sitting in a different room at the same school doing the same work. They wouldn't even miss a test. They wouldn't miss a dance or a game or a single social event. 3 days of mild inconvenience for leaving my daughter with a bruised rib and a split lip and nightmares that woke her up at 2 in the morning. I called Denise. She said she expected this. She said schools almost always start with the minimum because they're afraid of lawsuits from the aggressors' families. She said the letter was already sent, and the school district had 5 business days to respond. She said this was the beginning, not the end. I told Bree about the suspension. She was sitting on her bed and she looked at me and said,